The thing about worship conferences is that, we've got like Praise Charts, Loop Community, all these companies like in the vendor hall with a booth set up and people walk by and say hi and talk. And we thought, wouldn't it be cool if there's a worship conference that's actually led and run by all of these companies?
Hey community, in today's episode, Ryan Dahl from Praise Charts sits down with Matt, Derek, and Slack from Loop Community to discuss the upcoming Worship Innovators Conference. We are so excited for this virtual conference that's happening on June 7th. It's going to be a great day of practical training for worship leaders. So to learn more about the conference, listen to the rest of the episode, and you can register today on worshipinnovators.com.
So we're talking about Worship Innovators.
Okay.
And this is a conference coming up a month from today. Can you believe that?
Yeah. I feel like we've had to kind of reinvent it in this last year.
I know. Because of something called COVID. Yeah. So we were going to do Worship Innovators in person.
Yeah.
And then we had to go virtual.
And you know what the great irony, Matt, is we had a ton of people signed up and paid 10 times what the current fee is, and ready to come to Chicago. So,
yeah, isn't that wild?
I think people crave connection, in person, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
we're going to do the best we can.
So, for the people who don't know what Worship Innovators is, it's I think it's going to be a really unique conference because Ryan, you and I have gone to worship conferences for a decade, a long time.
That's where we met.
You're right. We met at the National Worship Leader Conference in 2014.
I can remember walking down the hallway. There's little Matt with his black hat and black loop shirt.
I had just crashed a rental car. Do you remember that?
No.
I was driving from the Dallas airport and crashed into some guy.
Oh.
It was not good. Anyways, then I met you. And the thing about worship conferences is that, we've got like Praise Charts, Loop Community, all these companies like in the vendor hall with a booth set up and people walk by and say hi and talk. And we thought, wouldn't it be cool if there's a worship conference that's actually like led and run by all of these companies?
Yeah.
Because all these websites, Praise Charts, Worship Artistry, Churchfront, Planning Center, there's so many, right? They're all resourcing worship leaders and developing tools that worship leaders are using every week. So it's like, why not partner together and like do a conference that actually is like really practical training and teaching for worship leaders of how to use those tools and how we're not even just going to be teaching on our own tools, but even just in general, like topics about leading worship in today's world. With COVID and
like the landscape in the last 20 years. Imagine since the day you and I first met in that church hallway when we were trying to get attention and they're like surrounded in a sea of booths. Some parts of me hated going to those things because I don't like selling stuff and I don't like competing for attention and all of that. But just in the last 20 years, companies like yourself, Praise Charts, Planning Center, I feel like almost the tables have turned in that we have a major influence base now along with the publishers. It's like now we're coming alongside. Yeah. Whereas back then between you and me, it was almost like we were begging for a bit of attention, or just like please or permission or whatever it was. But yeah,
it is a different world. And I think what's also really interesting is that I think companies like ours have a very unique inside access to what worship leaders are really singing. Like what are they actually using every single Sunday? Because, and I can talk about for Loop Community, we have an app where people build a set list and run tracks every week. And that data is all like real time. Like we know what set lists, people, Planning Center, obviously, they have like all the set lists. You know exactly what songs are being sung and used. I'm sure you have the same thing at Praise Charts.
Oh, well, at Praise Charts, we rebuilt all of Praise Charts around song lists. We have hundreds and hundreds of them in all themes, categories. Yeah. Any way that you can think of a worship song and slicing and dicing it, we'll have a song list for that to just help people find what they're looking for. But the most fun one is top songs today because it's very real time. It's uploading, or it's reinventing itself every hour. I don't know if you have that too, but I love that real time sense of what's happening, so.
Right. You're like the king of lists. I love those lists.
I guess so.
Every list possible. It's awesome.
We were kind of inspired by Spotify. Spotify is very list based as well, right? So
yeah.
It's a list is like, it speaks to a personality and a unique need. So
Ryan, what are you probably most looking forward to about Worship Innovators?
What am I most looking forward to?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I did tell you, Matt, that I really do like interviewing people and having conversations just kind of like what we're having right now. So you responded to that and slated me up to interview a couple of sessions where, I'm going to be with like Jake from Churchfront and I think Aaron from Planning Center, a few people just talking about different topics. So this is like very unique and personal to me, but I'm kind of excited about staring at a screen in real time with a bunch of people listening and having like incredible minds focusing in on a topic and just like talking, like turning the engine on and just firing up some conversation and getting inside these guys' minds. So
right.
I get fired up about that kind of thing, right? And even though it's video, but it's live. So maybe we can watch it later on. But for the people who are getting the experience, like I'm talking to you right now, anybody who's watching, I mean, all 9,000 people or something like that are watching us right now it's like they know what I'm doing, right? And what you're doing. And so anyways, that's kind of exciting. How about you?
Well, I was going to first of all say too, for the people who are watching, if you want to comment even and just say like in the comments, I'd be curious to hear from you guys. Like, what is it that you really think would be beneficial from a worship conference? Like if you were attending a worship conference, what would be like gold for you? What would be like a win?
Game changer.
Yeah. What's the game changer? Like what's the win for like attending a conference? Because I'd be curious. For me, I'm just really looking forward to like meeting people who use Praise Charts, who use Loop Community. Like I just love the personal aspect of it, like the community part, which is kind of why I'm bummed that it's not in person, but I think virtual will still work. Everyone's kind of used to virtual now.
But how are you going to get that element, that vibe? Is there going to be feedback? Are we going to see people's faces? I mean, I haven't been to a lot of these. So describe to me what you're going to do, Matt.
Derek will be able to explain that.
Our fearless leader.
So Derek's actually he's technically organizing everything.
Yeah.
So Derek, tell us how it's going to work.
Yeah, so there's going to be main sessions that'll have everybody, and that's going to be hundreds of worship leaders. So that will just be like the presenter. But then there's 4 focus session periods where there's going to be breakout rooms, and you'll be able to join whichever one you want, and that will provide the ability to. Matt's going to be teaching a class on using tracks, and during the tracks course, people can turn their video on, ask questions, things like that. So that will be the personal aspect. In your breakout sessions, you'll be able to talk to the different people, talk to the different innovators, which will be cool. So there's a full list for everybody wondering of all of the focus sessions on worshipinnovators.com. There's a lot of them, but what's cool is each one is being taught twice, and there's about 6 during each of the 4 focus sessions. So you'll be able to pick and choose which ones are beneficial for you or your team members, and go to those.
That's awesome. Derek, I got a question maybe that I'd love to hear. Well, any of you guys maybe, shed some light on. And that's if you've got a team of, you've got production people, sound people, handling kind of those more technical elements, which I know is a lot of that's going to be going on at the conference. But let's say you're a worship leader or just a musician. You might not have as much of a hand in those sides of the service. Maybe you're just a musician. What benefit would they get from attending the Worship Innovators Conference strictly as a musician?
Yeah, it's a good question. I can start. There's a number of different breakout sessions that are just focused on different instruments. So like Brian Wall from Worship Tutorials is going to have an entire focus session on how to get the best electric guitar tone and how to lead from electric guitar well. So that's going to be cool. There's same with David Falsgraf from Sunday Sounds is going to be there teaching all things worship keys. So if you're a worship keys player, And then a lot of the main sessions are just geared towards all like church worship or production people. It's about why we do what we do. It's about how to innovate in your role, specifically to wherever you're at, whether you're the worship pastor every single weekend or whether you're like singing every couple weeks as a volunteer. So there's definitely going to be stuff for everybody that way, which will be cool.
Yeah. Awesome.
Another cool element that's coming up is I just got the package in the mail from Matt because I'm a part of the worship team. Apparently, I'm playing piano, so I got to record. Yeah. I'm going to set up a piano right here. I'm going to turn that little fireplace on, get my fancy lights, my awesome big light. Will be no, I don't know if I'll do all that, but then it's just, and it's apparently it's one take, so there's no like, I've just got to play it right through like it's live, and then you're going to splice this together so that it's a real worship band. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, that's cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, the worship is going to be cool.
2 sets of worship. So
yeah, 2 sets. Some of the workshops we've got going are live streaming your worship services, which if you're not doing it by now, you should be at this class for sure. So planning spiritually formational worship. Like how do you plan a gospel like focused like worship set? People versus planning. We can get so caught up in the planning that we like forget about the people. Aaron's going to teach a class on simplifying your worship planning with Planning Center, which is good, just practical training. Being organized as a worship leader. I'm going to do a talk on the spark of innovation, like why innovation is important in churches. And what stops us from innovating. And also what are the igniters that get innovation going. How to use tracks in worship, Ableton Live, electric guitar, leading stress-free rehearsals, women in worship, preparing your band with sheet music and chord charts. That's Ryan Dahl. Worship keys, like there's tons and tons of classes, and the whole idea is that it's going to be just very practical, focused training. So awesome. I think I'm pumped about it, guys.
Yeah, me too.
It's
cool.
an innovation just in pulling this off. It's kind of that's the flip coin. The innovators had to innovate because they got thrown a monkey wrench along the way, right? So
that's totally true. So, Derek, we're a month out, right?
1 month.
I think we've got like close to 400 people signed up.
Over now.
I didn't know that.
We're almost. I think we're actually probably today we'll pass 500.
Woo!
Wow!
Oh yeah!
Awesome.
Come on!
And that's like people could sign up the day before, right? Or I don't know. Is there a cutoff?
Sign up. I'm gonna say
this is
the
online.
Day before is the cutoff, just so it's like you get all the information you need. So sign up by the end of the day, June 6th. Worshipinnovators.com. Tickets are cheap. They like unbiasedly $25 for 8.5 hours of worship training is pretty cheap. And then if you have a group of 10, so if you want to bring your whole team, have your team come for the day, it's $10 a person.
Awesome.
And then we also know that a lot of people, because it's a Monday, maybe you're a volunteer and you have a full-time job. If you can't attend live, we have a rewatch option available. And then a couple days after the conference, you'll get access to all of the classes. Same with, you can also add that on if you purchase a live ticket and come and you're like, I really want to go to these 5 focus sessions, but there's only time for 4. Get a rewatch add-on ticket to your ticket and you'll get access to all the classes, which will be really cool.
The reality is there are benefits to this whole thing that you never could get 20 years ago when Matt and I were, hitchhiking on the the church floor there. It's like back in the old days, right? But you couldn't do this. You had to pick your session and you didn't get the rest.
That's true.
It's nice too because it doesn't limit. We've actually seen signups from all over the world. I talked to somebody who's in England yesterday and they were like, what time does this start in England? And I was like, 3 p.m. And they were like, great, I'll be there.
Wow.
So we've got signups from all over the world, which is cool because if it was in Chicago, it'd be more limited. But it's exciting.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. I didn't know that registrations were that high. Now, I do know that we have a cutoff, though, right? Like, isn't there a limit to how many people we can have there?
Yeah, there is a little bit of a limit. There may be some kind of workaround, but our potentially the limit is 1,000.
Okay.
If we do get there, we'll explore an option. And
that's because we're using this platform. I don't know if you've heard of it before, called Zoom.
Yeah, it's a platform and it's happened. The nice thing is the registration number I said includes all, including rewatch options. So it's you're allowed to have 1,000 live. So we should be good. Yeah. But if you're watching, don't wait until June 6th to sign up.
Don't be the 1,000 in first person.
Just sign up today. Ensure your team's good to go, and you'll be all set.
Yeah.
You know, another cool thing about this whole thing that I feel like is part of the new era, it's not just of worship ministry, but even, you know, we're all business leaders. Like, we're innovators. We figured out a way to somehow, you know, be a legitimate, honoring business that serves the church. That's just a reality of all of us. So we all kind of share that. But one of the things that I like about us is we compete and yet we cooperate together. And I think that's kind of a way that we're demonstrating a new way to do business, a new way to innovate, a new way to be community. And so, like, Matt and I are direct competitors in some elements of what we do. And I'm just
you sell
saying
tracks,
right? I know. So, and
I'll forever resent you for that.
No, but like, I love, I talk about Loop Community. I love it if people go there. I celebrate you, you know, like other places, Planning Center, whatever, Church Front. We all do different things that cross over, but we sort of lay that aside. And this conference represents a bunch of competitors all kind of coming together and laying the weapons down, right?
Yeah.
So
right, for sure.
Which really actually was the beginning heart behind it. Of like, let's just get all these companies together. Like, why are we just kind of climbing up these hills on our own? Like, why not join forces and do something really impactful? So it's cool we're doing that.
I remember, Matt, when when we first were talking about it in the early stages and kind of going back to the whole COVID monkey wrench in the situation, like how much more relevant is all this information now than it would have been a year ago prior to the whole shutdown.
Yeah, that's true.
There's so many people having to call audibles, and they maybe are pursuing all these different, companies to kind of integrate with their own service. But I just think it's cool how timely it is that we're able to provide a place for them to come, hear from everyone at the same time, see how they all work together, and then go from there.
Yeah, people are needing to innovate now more than ever. I mean, this past year, it forced people into innovation. And so it's going to be cool to talk to people and see what they've done and learn from each other. So I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
For sure.
Well, you guys, thanks for hanging out for a little bit. And we'll see you virtually.
Thanks, Derek, for all the work you're doing, taking on the tech part of it. And Matt, you really spearheaded the vision. Appreciate you a lot. And it's good.
Sign up at worshipinnovators.com. Sign up. Don't miss it. We don't even know if it's going to happen again. This might be like a once in a lifetime opportunity. For real.
So go get it. Awesome.
All right.
See you guys.
Bye.
Love you.
See you guys later. Bye.